Hi everyone, it's Shar and welcome back to my channel. It's been a little bit since I've done a speed build, but since fall is just around the corner as I am recording this, it is mid-September, I wanted to do a nice cozy fall build. Now originally I wanted this to be kind of like a small craftsman style home, something very simple and think middle America, but I was really in the mood to watch Halloween movies and I looked up inspiration pictures and I was like, what would be so fun for Glimmerbrook, we're in my save file by the way, would be if all of the homes were inspired by classic Halloween films. So this house, I look at it and I kind of think of like Charmed or Halloweentown. Obviously, it's not the same aesthetic at all, especially not for Charm, because I'm pretty sure Charm was like a Victorian style home. But the idea is that this home wouldn't look out of place in movies. I even purposely chose a circular room because I didn't want to mess about with the roof, and I still had to do that because The Sims is really fun. But anyway, I end up super happy with how this house turned out. You'll see in a moment that I do use super bright orange, and I will eventually lift the house onto a foundation. I've just found over time and over so many builds as I work on my char save file is that if you raise the foundation before you do the landscaping will try to snap to that foundation, which obviously you're not trying to have your plants floating in midair and is really annoying for you to try to finagle with. So I've just learned to keep the house flat until you are ready to raise the foundation when all of the landscaping has been done. There are a number of roofs on this home, and even though I love the whole circular room aspect, you can see it still looks pretty funky with things like porches, so I end up hiding that with more and more plants. You can see that I did go for this bright fluorescent orange. I didn't want the whole house to be orange though, so I went for brick at the bottom. Initially, I was like, whoa, this is a lot. I'm going to use green windows as well. But ultimately, I really like how it turns out because this is my save file. Excuse me, I just woke up, so I'm still stumbling over my words. I already have a sim who lives here. Her name is Elle Brooks. Elle Brooks owns Brooks Toy Shop in Glimmerbrook because I wanted someplace that if you are a family Let's Player, you could take your kids to go toy shopping in, especially around the holiday season. That just seems like fun to me, and because the intention behind this save file is that it feels realistic and fun for me, it's not a save file I'm gonna have to consistently edit. I wanted to make sure that we had that. So Elle, as you can see from her money, is quite rich. She won't be that rich when the save file is actually done, but for the moment she is very rich, and I wanted her home and aesthetic to have a kind of like vintage thrifted feel, if that makes sense. I didn't necessarily want all of the furniture to match. I wanted the home to feel a little bit quirky. There's some cohesion in that there is generally a color theme, but the pieces are random, and I really like how that turns out. I do add a child room in here as well as cat stuff, so I think that I will eventually give Elle a child, and also 2 cats. I want there to be Salem and Banks in this home, so I think that would be really cute. And with that said, I just kind of want to update you all on life because it's a speed build, so that's typically what I tend to do. With my reading, I actually did start a separate reading channel for that just because I wanted a space where I could talk about all of the books that I've been reading and what I've been thinking about. My reading has been very sporadic, okay? Like there are some months where I'll read like 20 books, and there are some months where I will read 2 books, if anything at all. So that's an update on that. Other update is that I am thinking about redecorating my bedroom, my home. I actually created a video about that and trying to do it in The Sims, but ultimately The Sims was really limited and I couldn't bring my vision to fruition because I didn't have the items that I needed to do that. Like for example, the wallpapers were very limited as opposed to real life where I have like endless options. The boarding like that you do on the walls was also very limited. Obviously it's tied to paint, but in real life you You can do that separately. I would love for there to actually be an item or asset in The Sims, kind of like they did with kits, but better, and at the bottom is solid, where you could essentially create your own kind of boarding just with that additional accessory piece that you can put around the room. So we come to the inside of the home, which is me trying to figure out the layout. I did want the stairs to be at the front, but you can see that's where I put the fireplace, so that was originally where the living room was going to go, because I wanted the stairs to be by the front door. I said, I don't care, okay, let's do it. So the stairs are by the front door, and then you're going to see me really struggle with the floor plan upstairs, because I'm really bad at floor plans. Initially, I was like, this can be the bathroom in the corner, and then maybe there could be a bedroom. Do I want there to be 2 bedrooms? But you can see with this layout, we just have a really funky space where there's 1 giant bedroom, 1 small bathroom, a long bedroom, and then a ton of wasted space in the hallway. So I scrapped that idea and started again and do an idea that I usually do when it comes to builds and floor plans, is just to have a bedroom at the front, there's a ensuite bathroom in the middle, and then this little corner here was originally going to be another bathroom, but I realized I didn't have space for like a desk and a computer, and in my mind I do view that as like an essential item. I could have put a laptop in the kitchen downstairs, which you'll see me build in a moment, but I don't put any bar stools at the kitchen island on purpose, which means it still would not have been a functional item for your sim. So it's not perfect, and I mentioned this in the video that I scrapped, so obviously you never heard it, but in real life, homes aren't perfect. So when I was trying to redecorate my bedroom in The Sims, my bedroom is a really, really funky shape. I have a lot of diagonal walls, a lot of sharp corners, radiators that take up a huge chunk of the room. It is very long and wide, but like not wide enough to fit my bed any other way than vertically. So a very funky space, and I think that subconsciously that influences how I build quite a bit, because I've never been to someone's home and they're like, and every room was perfect. There's always a higgledy-piggledy little space, something that really doesn't make sense, but you're forced to work with. So we come back to the interior of the house, and we come back to updates. I have been playing The Sims in my free time. I wanted to give you an update on Whimsy Stories and Not So Berry. Since High School Years came out, the game has been really, really bugged. They released a very disappointing patch that addressed almost none of the bugs. But the issue that I'm having is that my new save file with Legacy Stories, which I am really enjoying playing, is not bugged, because obviously it's brand new, as opposed to something like Not So Berry, which we are in generation 5 of, or are about to transition to generation 5 of. It is very, very buggy, and I think has been affected the most, so I've held off on playing that just until we can get the update for the game, so that it's not something that I have to struggle with. So if you do watch that series and you're wondering where it's been, it's just glitched, and I'm really trying to figure out how to fix it. In terms of Whimsy Stories, I have not played that yet because I'm scared that it is going to be bugged, but I do have plans to play it in a moment so that we can resume Whimsy Stories, and realizing that Lily is going to age up to an elder very quickly, and she has not the sim that we need for generation 2. Sorry about that. My 2-year-old niece is here, since my other nieces and nephew have started school and my sister started working full time. Anyway, she wanted to come in and interrupt. I don't remember what I was telling you, but we are on to the super fun part of this build, which is decorating for autumn/Halloween a little bit, because it's Halloweentown inspired. I love the idea that she just keeps Halloween decor around all year round, obviously because it's The Sims, it's a save file. The house is always going to look this way. In Glimmerbrook as well, one of my plans is to create a rental property, because I want there to be somewhere you could rent in every world if you were playing with this. And I want it to be like a very cozy fall cottage, so that will eventually come someplace that your sim could rent out during the fall season. I know that I am already having so much fun building this save file, so I'll be excited to see the whole thing come together. My goal and my intention is to add a lot of practicality, a lot of fun elements, things like shopping centers, retail stores, lots of restaurants and cafes, cool clubbing spots, lounges, things like that, bowling, all of the stuff will be in there because of course I'm tailoring it to myself. But yes, it will definitely use a lot of packs. If you want a base game save file, I'm sure that there are plenty of people who have done that. For me, I'm just building in the way that would be fun because I'm not even sure when this will be done and when I'll be able to share it, but I like sharing the process with you all. I never put an organ into builds, but I felt like it fit into this home that Elle or her child is just playing the organ all of the time. So that is what I went with. You can see that there's a lot of spellcaster items in here. I think ultimately I am going to make Elle a spellcaster, or at least have a spellcaster lineage and then have her daughter have the magic. Maybe it skipped a generation. I don't know, because in some cases I build the retail lots and the Sims who own them without fully crafting their backstory, and I would go back to that later on, which is why my save file takes so long to do. With that said, I have been playing The Sims on my own, is what I was saying, outside of my Let's Plays I have on my channel. And I started one that was very inspired because I was watching a lot of James Turner, like his Rags to Redevelopment, and it made me want to play Equal Lifestyle so much. So the idea is that the Sim has to have a home, but that home can't be full of anything that you bought. It had to be things that you made yourself, or it had to be things that you found in the dumpster. And when it came to the dumpster, you couldn't sell directly out of your inventory. So I'm doing this Let's Play, right? And the Sim, essentially the idea is that she can't sell directly from her inventory. She needs a retail store, or she needs a selling table. That was such a challenge because it was glitching, and I don't often play with retail stores, but in the beginning they're really fucking hard. So she was struggling. So my girl gets to adulthood. She's done that. I decide to focus on romance. I get her a girlfriend. Her girlfriend moves in. She's never woohooed at this point. You know, she wanted to wait to be in love. While she's gardening, she gets abducted by aliens. That never happens organically for me in my game. So I was like, whoa, this is the first time my Sim has been abducted by aliens. I think nothing of it. Whatever, she'll be back in a moment. She'll have a little dazed moodlet. It'd be fine. It was fine. The next day, she had this exhausted moodlet. Sorry, I've been interrupted literally 4 or 5 times in the past 15 minutes of trying to record this voiceover. So I think nothing of it. The next day she has an exhausted moodlet, just this bright orange exhausted moodlet. I'm like, my girl's tired, but she's not that tired. But I'm literally not thinking anything of it because only male Sims can get pregnant when they're abducted by aliens, okay? So she and her girlfriend woohoo for the first time. I check the moodlet and it's like, when will this pregnancy end? And I was like, hold up, wait a minute, because I know for sure your girlfriend did not just get you pregnant, okay? So lo and behold, my girl was abducted by aliens and got pregnant by pollination technician number 3. Boy, an alien baby was not what I was expecting in that LP, but I wanted to share that story because I thought that it was funny that would happen in my game. And I'm just like, what the hell is going on? But anyway, I have been super busy and super distracted this week, so I haven't been able to play with them. And I find that if I'm not playing for my channel, just because I have fun playing with you all, I will play The Sims for 10 hours straight, and then I won't go back into the same family for a long time, if I go back at all. So when I was playing, because I was playing it Rags to Riches hard mode, I was just trying to frantically get her through everything, because I'm like, I'm not going to come back to you, and I need you to finish as much as you can. Obviously, she didn't completely finish everything that I wanted her to do, because one way she's making money is by selling the excess water and energy that she makes from having an off-the-grid home. But having a ton of like green appliances to help with powering the house. So that was definitely really fun. Now, while I was decorating, I found myself wishing that I had more Halloween decor. I know that there's the Halloween, I was gonna say kit, the other one that they stopped making, the stuff pack. There was one, but obviously I wasn't gonna spend money on that. And I've removed all of the build CC from my game, just because even though my game is not really struggling to run all of it, my computer just does not have that much space. It can comfortably store it, but because I also record videos are huge files, literally often 16 to 25 gigabytes of footage, and my PC simply cannot take that, mostly because 50% of my PC's storage is basic functioning things that I cannot remove. And I'm just like, how dare you? I could update the RAM, which I think that I will eventually do, but that's just that. While I was watching back one of my videos, someone pointed out that my game is lagging in the video, and I appreciated that comment so much because my game does not lag when I play it, and my game doesn't lag when I edit it. Like, as I'm doing this voiceover right now, I'm watching the video back and it's running really smoothly. I realized that what the lag is coming from is how I'm exporting the video. So if I export the video onto my external hard drive, which I have been doing because I've been trying to record more episodes in batches, and my PC, as I just mentioned, literally cannot hold that much space. For some reason, when I export it to my external hard drive and I upload it to YouTube, the video lags. So it's not the game that's lagging, it's the video that's lagging post-production. I think that I've fixed it because I started to just export it straight to my PC, and I hope that that's fixed it. It does mean that I record less videos, but obviously the idea is that I want you to watch the videos and I want the videos to be smooth for you. So I think that that has fixed it. So apologies if any videos have been lagging. I simply have not caught that because when I'm editing the videos, as I mentioned, they don't lag for me. When they initially export, they don't lag. The lag happens when I upload it to YouTube. I do sometimes go back and watch my videos on YouTube, but because I watch all videos sped up, literally 1.5 to 1.75 speed, that lag wouldn't be there for me just because the video is moving so quickly. So thank you so much for pointing that out. With that said, I don't have much else to update you on, honestly. There's a shit ton of stuff that I have to do in my personal life right now, although I am hoping to travel soon at some point. I did just come back from vacation in Florida last month, but that was a nice family vacation. I'm thinking that in October, I would love to do a couple of trips. In September, I went to Croatia. I don't know if that's going to happen, but if it does, that'd be really cool. It would be one of my more adventurous solo trips. I would love to go to Edinburgh and Manchester and Oxford, just do a whole UK thing in October. If you don't know, I studied abroad in the UK. I go back really often. I really love it. I was even at some point getting a visa to go live in the UK and work in the UK for 2 years before I decided to back down from that because as a US citizen, I can stay in the UK for 6 months a year. So I didn't go for that. And yeah, there are parts of the UK I haven't seen yet, and I do genuinely just love going back to see it. And then in addition, another trip I want to take is one to Salem, Massachusetts, just because I've never been, and I am really trying to have things to look forward to as I worked with my therapist on, which I will tell you a story about that. And I just want to have a really great fall, and I want to do a lot of really fun fall activities, so that is something that I am working on. Speaking of therapists, if you have been here for a while, you will know that something that I really struggled with for the past year and a half, 2 years, is finding a therapist, because it was really hard to find someone that was within my network. It was almost impossible to find someone who was taking new patients. The people that I did meet, therapy is about finding the right fit. The first 2 therapists that I met, which I did not connect with at all, it was just really difficult. They were definitely not the right fit. It took so long to find them. It took several months. I finally found a therapist, and we started seeing each other once a week for our sessions. We were only in therapy together for about 3 or 4 months. And then this week I had my last session with her, and she was like, by the way, this is your last session because I'm quitting. fun times for me, because I'm like, great. Obviously, I don't fault her because therapists are human beings too, and she obviously wanted to find a new job. But in my mind, I was also like, oh, please, I don't want to start this therapy journey again. And I think that's something that is not often spoke about, is people often encourage like taking care of your mental health and getting access to therapy. Number one, therapy is extremely expensive, and not everyone has that insurance, and we acknowledge that. I think the conversations that's not often had is how difficult it can be to find a therapist, even if you are able to afford it and you have insurance, as was the case with me. Therapy is so much about working with someone that you can trust, that you feel you can establish a good relationship with, that you feel comfortable being vulnerable with, and that can take a long time. And an exhausting aspect of that is not only the endless calls with your insurance and with therapy clinics and with various therapists, it's also how often you have to open yourself up for sessions that may ultimately not work out with that therapist, and how exhausting that can be. As I just mentioned, it took me almost 2 years to find a therapist. Mentally, I am in a better space just because through working with my therapist, I realized a lot of the issues that I was having was, yes, anxiety, but a huge chunk of my anxiety was being fueled by just general work and stress overwhelm and me really not having a great time at my job. So we work towards a plan where I could take a few months off to travel. And before I go any further, I want to acknowledge that it's definitely a privilege. I do not believe that it's a position that most people can have. That's just something that I have because of the career that I have and the level that I am at in my career, and my ability to live with my parents and essentially save up a ton of money so that it would be feasible for me to take a few months off of working so that I can just focus on my mental health and well-being and trying to get back to a state that I feel comfortable with. Now, the only skeletons that I had were these ones from Jungle Adventure, and if I'm being honest with you, I absolutely hate using that because in the game, these have cultural significance for the temple. Not too much because it's The Sims, but it still does. So I hate the idea that these skeletons are in the yard as Halloween decor, but ultimately it's a game and there isn't that much significance to them, and they're just placeholders. I'm hoping that I can eventually find skeleton CC, but just wanted to acknowledge that I really don't like that. And in real life, if somebody did that, I'd be fucking pissed off. But in the game, they're placeholders, and the idea, you can kind of just see the vision, is that there would be skeletons in the yard. I just need to find CC, or hopefully they add something to the game where I can have that. And then out back, I put a bunch of like gardening and farming stuff, because what screams Halloween or autumnal fall vibes than growing your own food in the backyard? I imagine that the chickens are a bunch of black roosters. Like, that is what she has in the backyard. There's no like magical cauldron. They're not actively practicing magic, but there is lots of nods to their magical heritage. I put a bike on the front porch, and because there is a child here, I also put this beautiful little jungle gym thing, the monkey bars, that I always put from the romantic garden stuff, just as it's so pretty. In real life, that's probably not actually fun to play with because that moss would be hella slippery, but in The Sims, it works. Then I just have to fix this. I replaced the tiles because I put a flat floor there initially, and of course the game is not smart enough to recognize that I do not want the entire flat floor to be lifted up with the rest of the house. And that pretty much brings us to the end of the video. There's not much else that I'm going to do aside from my classic move of adding in a ton of the pond effects, mostly with the fireflies, mostly because I'm in New York. My sister lives in upstate New York. I used to live in upstate New York, and I don't think of any season, particularly early autumn as it would be here, as not having fireflies. So with that said, we are at the end of the video. I do hope that you enjoyed it. Thank you so much for watching. I know the house is a little bizarre, but I do end up really loving it. It feels super cozy and cluttered and eclectic, and that is what I was going for, while there is still a cohesive theme. So if you aren't already subscribed, please make sure you do. And if you like this video, make sure to let me know. Otherwise, I shall see you in my next one.